surely you have a lot to gain from all these things. You don't need to sort of look at it as if, you have a lot to lose. No, you're gaining by this approach. It is not evilish, it's not devilish, it's nothing to it that. I don't know why. You ask yourself, why should you think that it is devilish? Why should you think that idea of talking to God or asking God something, or some sort of questioning God in order to build your faith is evilish? Because you are being told by somebody, your mentor or whatever it is, that it is evil, it is wrong to do that. Because whoever mentored you, would you consider, or have you considered whether that person is using some means that you are probably not aware of, which those spiritual means is what that person is guiding, and not necessarily something coming from a true logical end, which a wise man is supposed to just. You should have your own mind. You should be able to have your independent mind, no matter what institution you are into. Or else you can never free yourself. You can be trapped the rest of your life. There are people who find themselves in institutions somewhere all their life, and later they realize that they are in the wrong place, and you see them jumping out, going somewhere else. So many times I find myself hopping here and there for several times. Others have found themselves in so many situations. Some people will move from Christian to Muslim. Some Muslims move from Islamic to Christianity. Why? Because they have discovered something hits them, and if you're able to find out, your trouble is gone. The idea of God is something unique. It requires you to search. If you are going to follow statements, if you say you're a Christian and you're following the statements written in, let's say, in the book of Titus, and I think in Titus chapter 3 verse 9, I think so, it sort of give you some statements which could put you in a state where you will not easily feel the commitment of you live in fear, not coming to here. Titus 3:9, let me see. Okay, in Titus 3:9, all the discussions is about grace. It says the graces of the heirs of grace. The graces of the heirs of grace. That's what the topic is. It's all, the whole chapter was about. The grace of the heirs of grace. If you know heirs, heirs, inheritors, somebody who is born to take over. Could be the king's son, king's nephew, whichever it is, who is born to inherit something. The grace that is there for them, and the graces that, the graces of them. It's talking about the graces of them and the graces that is there for them, that kind of thing. So it comes here in 9, it says, but avoid foolish disputes, genealogies, contentions, and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and useless. Here, avoid what? Foolish disputes. You could be in parliament, whichever way it is. Advise you not to engage in unnecessary debates, foolish discussions. Of course, why should you join in foolish discussions? Now, in the same Christian world, avoid foolish discussions, debates, unnecessary vain ones. Why should you do that anyway? But if the topic is risen out and you are out there to talk about God, it's a serious topic. We know about how that person is. If that person is not making logic sense to you, that's a different thing. No matter what you believe, logic is what we're talking about. There are some things that are logically acceptable, some things they're not. So if that is the case where you see a crazy person, of course you won't talk to a crazy person, but if you're able to see somebody and you've concluded that, I have to invite person, he looks okay, and you've got an answer coming from him, or some sort of questions coming from him, or a debate, don't leave it in the middle of it. Stand and defend your faith. Prove that you understand what you are doing before you even decide to invite him or her. Because if you be making that invitation, you surely have understanding of what you're doing, and you know what you are inviting somebody into. Because if you are in a prison and you are inviting somebody to join you in the prison, think about it. I mean, what wisdom is there? How can you be so wise that you're inviting me to come into your prison? To come into the prison? Who wants to live in the prison? Who wants to spend time in prison? Who? Unless that person has got his mind, taken off and he's not completely right. How can you want to live there? In the same way, you are inviting somebody to a church because you believe that it's a good place. What makes you believe that it's a good place? You have to prove this to that person. Define your faith. Prove your faith. Be ready to explain yourself to let the person understand that it's a good thing. Where he's going, convince the person to come along. Many a times people are not ready because people know that they themselves have not got understanding to what they are into. And for you to be part of something that you don't understand is foolishness. First, you're already part of something which is a foolish dispute. Has a normal, something which has not got a true, acceptable, presentation in it. You are part of something foolish already, so you find yourself not being able, having the confidence to sort of demonstrate otherwise, or let's say explain yourself to people. But if you can't explain yourself to people, you will benefit from it. You don't know the end of it. You convince this person, and that's how people get convinced. Even though I realize that people get convinced in their silence or somehow because they are not. If you meet a thinker like me, then you will struggle to convince people, because I know for sure, on the grounds of which I am and what I'm looking into, that the book and whatever convince you are going to give me about going to church or going to whatever, you will never have a logical approach to anything, because the entire institution, the whole entire thing is construed. It's not really solidly good, or it's not the right thing. It's not what. No matter what it is, I sense the evil more than the good in it. And I'm pointing it out every day. It's not because the people are evil or not. We are all human beings. We all have evil and all that. But the idea that is supposed to present, it is the opposite of what is presented that we see. It is not presenting a true God. No matter what we see of it, no matter what, let's say the church presides in Britain, America, and all that, and there are most Christians there, and the country is succeeding. Diagnose it and see how the country is succeeding. But the Christians, the fact that there are more Christians there, they are making claim that it's because of Jehovah that they are succeeding, that they have a faith that has built them. But look at the means by which America achieved that grounds. Even Israel. What sort of God is that Jehovah? Jehovah was strong, just like anybody being strong, or any person spirit becoming strong. He was strong and fought for the people, put his life there. And if there's a spiritual thing that going on, let's say the spirit was strong and he fought and gave them all the things they need to have. But the means he gave it to them, blood was shed, and they lose their life. It tells you that it is not the ultimate God. It led the people through war. It led the people through all kinds of things. Things that he himself has said that it is wrong. That nobody is supposed to do that. Yet he saw them through to do it. They were doing it and blessed them. He took from people and gave it to others. He gave it to them. America has gone to blood, cheating people. Let's say the whole Indian. Right now, I think the Red Indians have got some benefit that the country automatically gives them something. They were given some land. They've got some agreement, probably went on, and they are okay in some many grounds. And America is going on also, not just because of Red Indians, but outsiders invited other people, non-religious, religious people from Hinduism, Christianity, people from Islam, just like Britain and all the rest. And they progress and they're tapping on knowledge. They are, improving on not just the grounds of religion and Jehovah. The businessmen who set out there to look for slave trade, was it the council of churches that took them? They have come out of all these things, something inspiring them. The spirit inspiring them, fine, but it was like a general common approach from common people who understood things. They decided to do that, and they used the church to attach them. So the church cannot fully claim That is why you won't see churches today taking control over the